So the detention sphere is a nice catch-all piece of removal. Just you board it in when you realize that something like Supreme Verdict just isn't a good card. So detention sphere is a nice catch-all. Disenchant, obviously catch-all on artifacts and enchantments, and it's kind of like running two because you can snapcast it again. The Geist of Saint Draft is in there to answer other Geist of Saint Draft, and also if you go up against a mirror match, sometimes you will play a mirror match where your opponent actually isn't playing Geist. And even we aren't really playing Geist, we're just kind of mising one in the board. But if you can play this and they don't have a Geist, this card is very hard for this deck to answer without a Supreme Verdict, and most red, white, blue versions that I see don't actually have Supreme Verdict, and they definitely don't keep Supreme Verdict in after they board against you because these matches go really long, and they're going to see that you just have no creatures in your deck. So there's no way they're going to have that in. So it's a nice little kind of sneak it in win condition. I'd run more, but honestly, he's too expensive, and I hate using that as an excuse. But I primarily focus on Jund. This is kind of like my side project right now. So when I get some more money, I'll get some more of them. But I have been liking him. If you played like 3 in the board, I think that would be probably a better number. Maybe shave off a negate or a path and some other stuff. 2 negates for combo. Also great in the mirror. Cryptic Command has gotten a lot more popular, so things like Spell Pierce and Negate are much better because when you get to those games where you are dragging it out really long, and this is the main reason that I cut Mana Leak. It's just Mana Leak, as time drags on, becomes a worse and worse card, and whereas Negate stays a pretty powerful threat even in the graveyard with your Snapcasters. So, yeah, and I like it against the combo matchup. Path to Exile, I don't really need to explain that card. Just it removes creatures really efficiently. Rest in Peace for graveyards. Again, be careful with your snaps. Sowing Salt for Tron. I don't think I sided in for any other matchup, but again, Emrakul is Tron is a really serious deck in the metagame right now. Tron was kind of on the back burners for a long time because the metagame was just too fast for Tron, and in those games where you were playing Tron and you were on the draw and you were up against one of the hyper-aggressive decks, it was very hard for Tron to come back, especially if they couldn't actually hit their 7 mana on turn 3. But now that the metagame has slowed down quite a bit, it's become much more viable for them to, have maybe an extra turn or two to get their combo together. And due to how powerful that deck is, running the 4 Karns, and most of them run like 3 Worm Coils and 1 Emrakul, and some of them run Ulamog. I like Ulamog, but some people forego him. It's definitely a very hard deck to beat if you're just dragging it out, because Eye of Ugin develops an insane amount of... they can just keep digging up their Emrakul, they can dig up their Worm Coils, which are great against this deck. So having just this straight up, if you Sowing Salt them, they probably just lose the game. It's a nice card against them. I think that Sowing Salt is the best sideboard card you could have against Tron. Pretty much hands down. Spell Snare I've included because since Cryptic Command has been getting more popular, Snapcaster has been getting more popular, and my favorite answer to Snapcaster Mage is Spell Snare. So you see one in the sideboard there for Snapcaster matchups. Spellskite, again, you'll never see me have a list that doesn't have a Spellskite in Modern. And then you see the Timely Reinforcements is just a nice little aggro matchup, red deck wins, whatever. Just catch all, gain some life, stay alive, and then gain control and win. But yeah, that's this deck. I'm going to go over one more deck that I'm not going to recommend you play this deck at all, but it's kind of... I just took a look at it the other day, and I was thinking about... I called it Bug, but it's mostly blue-black. I just have the green in there for the Deathrite, and then some sideboarded Nature's Claims and Abrupt Decays. It's kind of the same theory as the last deck that you saw, but quite a few more win conditions with Dark Confidants, Snapcaster Mage. Deathrites will definitely win you the game. You got the Tar Pits and the Urza's Factory still. But you get access to Liliana. You still get to play the Spreading Seas. You play Mana Leak because you're playing kind of a lower, more Delvery curve. So lots of 1-drops. Whereas the deck is primarily 2 to 7 drops. Yeah. It's just a list. You can take a look at it. If you like it, work with it. I'd recommend you play Jund as number one. If you would like to get spicy, or if you have the cards for it, or whatever, I definitely recommend playing that America list. Go ahead and... Oops, that's an old deck. Don't play that one. This is a really fun one to play. Your opponents will be very mad at you because you take control of games and you just stay in control. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully I'll be able to fit in some videos of me actually playing these decks. And until then, I will talk to you guys next time.